Hey everyone, it's Nisha here, and if you're new, welcome to my new channel. If you watched my last video, welcome back. Yesterday was actually my vegan-anniversary, and I've been vegan for 4 years. Yes, 4 years officially. I'm so excited. I feel better than I have ever felt before, like ever. It's crazy. It is the best decision I've made ever. And I've heard so many people say stuff like that, but it's actually facts. Like, it's true. You feel better, you look better. I am going to be 30 in less than a year, and I look better than I did when I was like 20. In honor of yesterday, I kind of wanted to make a video. I think a lot of people confuse being vegan and being plant-based, and so I wanted to kind of explain to people what veganism is and why we should try to strive to be vegan rather than just plant-based. I know that there is a lot of confusion about the difference and people use them interchangeably, but they're actually different things, and making the distinction is good. So I actually was plant-based for about 6 months until I decided to go vegan. And back then I did not know the difference either. I was mostly vegan, which that's not a thing. And I ended up going vegan, completely vegan, after I watched the documentary Earthlings, which you can watch on YouTube right now. If you just look up Earthlings full movie on YouTube, it will come up, and I highly, highly suggest watching it. It is what completely changed my life and got me to go vegan. Please watch it. I wanted to kind of define what being vegan is to me, and I also wanted to define what being plant-based is and kind of explain the difference and hopefully get you interested in possibly going vegan at some point, or at least plant-based. So my definition of veganism is kind of a two-part thing, and the first part of that is the vegan definition as stated by the Vegan Society. And they define veganism as a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as practicable and possible, the use, abuse, and exploitation of animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So that is definitely the first part of being vegan. The second part to me is all about consent. Kind of like how a child can't consent to a sexual relationship, even though a human child can speak. Animals cannot speak, and they have the intelligence of a child. So they have intelligence, but it's at a level to where they are not able to mentally consent to something. Essentially, veganism puts animals first, and it's a belief system, it's a code of ethics, and then the health aspects and the environmental aspects are both bonuses, but animals come first and ethics come first. So yeah, that is what veganism is non-use of animals to the extent that it is practicable and possible, as well as it is all about consent. Okay, so plant-based is different. It overlaps in ways because in a way, being plant-based is in line with veganism, as we are not eating animals, i.e. using them or abusing them, which eating animals is abusing them. But there are many ways in which being plant-based is completely different. Veganism also doesn't tell you anything about the type of diet you have. It tells you that you are not going to eat animal products, but it doesn't tell you about the health components of a diet. You could theoretically be vegan and eat only French fries, but you don't get any information. Technically, if you were to go to the doctor and say that I'm on a vegan diet, that gives them no information about the health of your diet. Being plant-based, that generally suggests that you're a pretty healthy person. If you define yourself as plant-based, you're doing it for the health benefits, most likely. So because veganism is all about ethics, the only type of real vegan is a vegan for the animals. There are people who describe themselves as vegan for health or vegan for the environment, but veganism is an ethical stance and a lifestyle, and so they're actually plant-based, which is great. I was plant-based for 6 months, and I still consider myself plant-based as well as vegan now. Vegan for health is plant-based, and vegan for the environment is plant-based, and I will explain why. And it's not a bad thing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. You should be plant-based. 100% be plant-based, please. I will highlight my points with some analogies. Basically, if we take a vegan for health, I'm gonna maybe put it into terms that you can kind of see it in a way that makes sense. Let's say you love dogs, right? You love them. They're your favorite animal. You love them so much. You go over to your friend's house and your friend at one point gets mad at their dog and starts just like beating the crap out of this dog, right? A vegan would say something like, stop doing that. What's wrong with you? They would not be okay with it. It wouldn't be something that is acceptable at all. But let's say that you're kind of a little bit ambivalent about dogs. You don't really care about that much. And you were content with watching your friend kind of beat their dog. And you're just like, well, I'm not going to beat my dog, but it's okay if you do that. That's usually the kind of the mindset that someone who is vegan for health has, is like, I'm going to do this diet and that's fine, but everybody else is okay to do whatever they want. It's like that just because veganism is an ethical stance. So that's why vegan for health is actually plant-based, which is great. It also is kind of why somebody cannot be mostly vegan. It's like, oh yeah, I am like anti-dog fighting most of the time. That means that you're pro-dog fighting, because it's sometimes, you know? So it's like, if you're vegan or you're not vegan. You're plant-based, meh, it wavers. And again, there's nothing wrong with being plant-based. It's a great stepping stone. Everybody should try to strive to be plant-based and then go vegan. This is the goal. So being plant-based is totally 100% good job. Like, I started off that way, like I said. So, okay, example why vegan for the environment is not actually vegan, it's plant-based. I'm gonna use an analogy regarding the Jewish Holocaust, and I'm just going to disclaimer right now that I am not saying that Jewish people and non-human animals are interchangeable at all. I'm just making an analogy, so please do not attack me. But okay, let's say there's someone who claimed to be a human rights advocate, right? But then the topic of the Jewish Holocaust comes up and people are talking about how horrible it was and how devastating all of the deaths were and how unnecessary it is. And this person who is a human rights advocate is just like, yeah, that was bad, but like, you know, the real issue was the environmental impact of all the concentration camps. You'd be like, yeah, no, it wasn't. Like, you're kind of psycho. What the hell? You'd be like, yeah, that's bad. That's a valid point, but you're probably not a human rights advocate. So there is, as you can see, a distinction between being plant-based and being vegan. And hypothetically, you could be vegan and not plant-based, and you could be plant-based but not vegan. A way that you could be vegan but not plant-based. Let me give you another weird example. So let's say someone is into some weird shit, right? And they're just like, it would mean so much to me right now if you just ate my finger. And they chop off their finger and they're like, here, eat it. And you're just like, F it, sure, why not? And then you eat the finger, right? That would be vegan because of the consent aspect. A less creepy and morbid example would be breastfeeding. So that is 100% consensual. The mother is wanting to do this for their child. It is not plant-based because it is milk and it's coming from a human body, and humans are animals, but there's consent involved in it. Now, if you were to take that breastfeeding woman and hook them up to machines and start pumping out all of their breast milk and then giving it to other people and selling it, that would not be vegan because it's against their will. And that sounds crazy, but that's literally what we do to mother cows. So it's kind of normal. And a more common scenario is how you can be plant-based but not vegan. So let's say you're plant-based and you're eating all of this plant-based food and you're loving life and it's awesome and you feel great because it makes you feel awesome when you go plant-based. But you're still buying cosmetics tested on animals. You're still supporting places that exploit animals, zoos, circuses, stuff like that. You're not vegan because you're not reducing your animal use as far as practicable and possible. You don't have to go and do these things. So that's how you can be plant-based but not vegan. Why is it important to make a distinction? One is because people who are striving to be vegan need to be clear on what it entails, and it entails the non-use of animals as far as it's practicable and possible. So we need to have like these defining factors so people, once they decide to make that leap into veganism, they know exactly what to expect. It is an ethical stance, you know, it is kind of a lot of work. You know, we live in a non-vegan world. It's important to be very clear on what is abusive towards animals and what isn't, and we need to strive for the more compassionate alternatives. Another reason is because, you know, being vegan should be a goal. And it's good if you start off being plant-based, but the end goal should be veganism. So that should be the goal that you're trying to attain always, you know? So it's important to have those two different things defined so that you can make it a goal to get to the point of being vegan someday. Why is it important to be vegan? Being plant-based is awesome. Like I said, if you're plant-based for the health benefits, you are doing the best thing for your health. And actually, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has come out with an official statement saying, following a well-planned vegan diet is healthful for all stages of life, including infancy, pregnancy, and breastfeeding, as well as for athletes and the elderly. And it's healthful and nutritionally adequate, and it can even aid in the prevention and the reversal of certain diseases. That's big. People have been able to reverse their diabetes with it. People have been able to get rid of certain forms of cancer with it. This is proven. I'll link some resources below in the description also. If you're plant-based for the environment, that is huge also. In the most comprehensive study ever undertaken about the relationship between agriculture and the environment, they concluded that being vegan was the #1 thing you can do in your daily life in order to help the environment. So both of those things are bonuses in veganism. The reason why it's important to make the jump into ethics is because we need to be doing this for the victims. We need to be considering the victims. I mean, if you've ever had a companion animal, you know they have emotional lives, they have feelings, they get scared, they want to be taken care of, they want to cuddle, you know, most of the time depending on the animal. They want a good life and they deserve that. And all these animals who are in these factory farms, and even the ones who are on good farms, they want to live. They have a desire to live. And what we do to them in 2020 is completely unnecessary. It's 100% unnecessary. They don't want to be in these situations. They want to live their lives. And every time we purchase a product that contains animal products, we are paying for an animal to be abused and tortured. And they don't deserve it. They just don't. We don't need to be eating them. We can eat something else. There are so many alternatives to animal products. And one sandwich is not worth the entire existence of an animal. It's just not. I mean, people think that adopting a plant-based diet or going vegan is extreme. I think that raping an animal into existence and then raising them in these tiny enclosures covered in their own feces and then shipping them off to a slaughterhouse and having a bolt gun to their head, being hung upside down, having their throat slashed, and then bleeding out, that seems extreme for a sandwich, right? When you could just eat plants. If you're interested, I'm going to link a bunch of resources in the description below to help you transition and kind of like some materials for you to hopefully start to make the connection more. Just do your own research. It is awesome for your health, it's awesome for the environment, and it's mostly awesome for the animals. So if you agree with me about my definition, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know what they are. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Non-use of animals to the extent that it's practical. Non-use of animals to the extent that it is. If you have any qualms, not a bad thing. It's a great thing. You should be vegan. You should be plant-based. The first aspect about veganism is a definition that the Vegan Society is defined by the Vegan Society. Will use as far as practicable and possible. Let's say you take an official deliberate response, or you take an official deliberate